hosts the Valley Labor Report right here on WVNN. You can hear him 9:30 to 11 on Saturday, and you will also be able to hear him over the next week on this program, as I will be off and he will be filling in at least one of those days, and we appreciate him doing all of that. He stays on top of the labor issues that continue to work their way through our country. And like we've said, over the course of the year, we have seen the perspective on union labor change significantly in this country. There has been a lot of different strikes, from big ones to the actors and writers strike, the United Auto Workers strike, to little ones like the Starbucks union and things like that. Before we jump into any of this deeply, the mayor of the city of Birmingham, Jacob, raised a pretty interesting issue the other day. He was discussing education in the city, and one of the things that he said was, if you're a bad teacher, I want you to leave. Now, it's an interesting thing to say, because teachers' unions have been very good at protectionism in their ranks. They have done a very good job at protecting their employees against ramifications, sometimes justified ramifications of their behavior, and that's one of the things that they can tout very, very good. And you can say, well, they're not a union and all this other stuff. We hear that, but overall, we're just speaking in broad terms here. The mayor knows that he can't actually get rid of these teachers that he would dub lazy. Instead, he's talking about them, deleting themselves from the workforce. As someone who is a very pro-union person, if Randall Woodfin, a Democrat leader in the state of Alabama, the mayor of the second biggest city, if he partnered up with Republicans on accountability to strip away some of this protectionism within the public sector union that is the education system, how worried would you be about them losing some of that stroke?
Well, I think that there are a few things to understand, and the issue that people have supposedly with teachers is the tenure, and supposedly it is just impossible to get rid of a bad teacher, and this is just not the case. I know teachers union representatives, people who have done that, people who do that, and there are mechanisms that you can use for a poorly performing teacher to get them out of the classroom. Just like any job and just like any union contract. The only difference is that there has to be, you can, in the first 3 years, you can get rid of their teachers are like an at-will employee. But for the rest of their career, they have just cause protections. And so you have to actually make a case to get rid of a poorly performing teacher, or to make good faith effort to correct their performance. And that is something that every employee should have, particularly after they have dedicated their life to an organization or a company. You should not be so precarious. You should not have to go through your entire career incredibly precariously. You should have some amount of protections. And, here's a very, very controversial thing. The management should have to work. Management should have to work. They should have to make a case that you that they should have to make a case that you are so incompetent or such a bad employee that you have to go, or and that's work. Or they should have to help you correct the issues that you're having with your performance. And I know that's a very controversial thing, that I think that management has a job and they should do their job. But, that's my position.
Why would that be controversial?
Because management wants the ability to not have to work. They want to just be able to get rid of anybody for any reason or no reason at all. They don't want to have to justify themselves. They don't want to have to try to correct behavior that in sometimes they have fostered, or they have through one way or another, through poor management or through lack of training, anything like that. It's a very prevalent issue that you see.
Listen, I agree with that, though. The fostering part, I think, is I think very clear, and I would agree with that. Now, here's the issue here, and correct me if I'm wrong here. When Woodfin says this kind of stuff, his power is like almost nil on this. I mean, he has zero actual stroke here. There's not much he can actually do, especially as the mayor of the city. To me, this seems just like I've got a problem in my school system, and golly, I wish somebody would do something about it. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. And we can debate whether or not the teachers union is too powerful, or in your opinion not powerful enough. We can have that conversation. But Woodfin is taking a position here that you don't often hear from Democratic elected officials. Why do you think that is? Let's forget about the particulars of the matter. Why do you think he's taking this view? Any idea?
Well, I would also push back a little bit on that, something that you never hear from Democrats. I think that it's become a little bit less common, but there was a time about 10 years ago or so that this education reform that was kind of put out into the world in large part by Bill Gates was very prominent in Democratic circles, and a lot of that was the destruction of public education, privatization of public schools, this incentives and all of this kind of stuff. But that has to a certain extent gone away with with people viewing workers, in general, more favorably. They have also come back around on teachers, that they're not, the enemy. And so, but there are some Democratic politicians are to a certain extent stuck in the past, and there are undoubtedly issues with some Birmingham City schools, like there are with some schools across the country, and it is going to take real hard work to make that happen, in particular from the position of the school board or the superintendents, to try to set their teachers up and their students up to where they can succeed. And that is a much more difficult thing than just to blame, this kind of ephemeral, lazy teacher. You don't have to actually point at anything. You don't have to actually propose any solutions. You don't have to actually make a concrete case or chart a path forward. You can just say it's the lazy teacher's fault.
I'm going to blow you away right now.
Politician's fault.
I'm going to blow you away right now. Okay? I'm going to blow you away. I agree with you completely. I absolutely agree with you completely. Randall Woodfin is taking the absolute lazy way out here of dealing with his education system in the city by saying, it's the teacher's fault. They're just lazy and they need to go away, knowing that there's no way he can actually make them, quote, go away or any of that nonsense. It's just a silly bit of I think blame shifting. Real quick here, as we wrap this up, you're going to have plenty of time to speak about labor issues throughout the little bit of time you have filling in for me later. Public sector unions versus private sector unions. Public sector unions that have been an easy target for everyone that's not in government. Inside government is harder because they know that politicians can vote for teachers to get a raise. So it's like one of the few things where they can actually control how much money the worker's getting themselves. So they actually like the idea that they get to control this. Do you think public sector unions are too strong or private sector unions are too weak?
Both are too weak. Both are too weak.
Okay.
Workers do not have enough power in the economy or the political economy. Workers should have much more power, but obviously the issue with the private sector unions not having enough power is more so. Because there are more union members and unions have a stronger foot in the public sector. But I think that both should have. I think that every worker deserves a union. I think that every worker deserves to have that kind of day in and day out I have a contract that I can look at. I don't just have to wake up and say, hey, what's my boss going to do today? I've got a contract. If the boss steps out of line, I can point to that and I have recourse. And if I step out of line, the boss can point to that and they have recourse. And everybody deserves that. I don't think that should just be limited to a few people.
Jacob Morrison, he'll be filling in for me sometime in the next week and a half or so. So look forward to that. Jacob, we appreciate you being here. Have a Merry Christmas. We will talk with you in the new year.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.
Which side are you on?